It's time for Grimm at AFTERBUZZ TV. We're talking about Season 5, Episode 18. It's good to the bone. Let's get started.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome back, Grimsters, to AFTERBUZZ TV's Grimm After Show. Hey guys, I'm your host Zach Wilson, here to bring you all the talk. Whether we're talking about Adeline, Nick, Natalie, Eve, Woo Wolf, or Werewolf. There's so much to talk about, you guys. You can tweet at me throughout the week, throughout the show. Actually, not the show this week. I'm spoilers scared. At that Zach Wilson. My panel tonight.
I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J, T-A-U-R-I-J-Y.
And I'm Dillon Chance. You can find me on Twitter at Dillon Chance.
Yell Teagle unfortunately could not join us tonight. She's we lent her to HW
Yes.
this week, which she was excited about, and then she got there, I heard, and like Meisner's not around, so she's, what was even the point of this? But she was already gone, so
Yeah,
It's true.
she'll be back next week. All right, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this episode. One of the most horrifying images Grimm has put on in at least a year.
Woof.
Some woof from Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Woof.
Woof.
And we got some interesting, more broad world, or for the characters at least,
Yeah.
stuff going on, which is where I want to start. Just up top with Nick and Adeline and Eve. And Eve or Juliet, maybe?
Well, Juliet slipping in there.
It's weird love rhombus, as our friend Zach would say.
Yes! The love rhombus. Well, no, because, there's not...
I mean...
Meisner isn't around, so he's screwing up the rhombus.
But, Eve and Juliet can be both sides or separate corners on this rhombus. Eve doesn't feel anything, but Juliet does.
Or you could argue that with Diana back in the picture, Renard is taking up another angle of the rhombus. So we might be at a pentagram situation at this point.
Gone. Pentagon.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You scared?
This is Grimm. It's a pentagram. Or you never know. I mean, if Meisner is still interested in Adeline by the end of the season, this could be a septagon.
Ooh.
Or is that right? Is that 7? Anyway, regardless, love shape.
Yeah, hex.
Yeah.
There's love shapes forming. But yeah, I mean, we started out, and does anyone think it was a little weird that Adeline referred to Nick as her lover?
Yes.
Yeah.
Out loud.
Lover time. I was like, oh,
I mean, if you got to put a label on it, he definitely doesn't feel... I feel like it would be weirder if she was like, yeah, my boyfriend Nick. I don't feel like we're at boyfriend yet, but they are definitely getting down.
Yeah, I mean, they share a bed.
Yeah.
They here's the thing. In terms of relationship stages, they have jumped around wildly.
Yeah.
They were living together, sharing a bed before they'd even kissed. Mm-hmm. They're nothing about this relationship is normal.
What? That's the
Oh, no, wait. They slept together before they, went on a date.
Right.
Or even had a friendly conversation. So it's a whole other thing. But then they jumped forward backwards to sharing a bed and a baby.
I mean, if you qualify the time that Nick took her powers away as a kiss, because they did lock lips in order for him to get his blood in her mouth, then that could have been their first kiss. Mm-hmm. And then it's more traditional, boy meets girl. Boy kisses girl, takes power away. She goes on a mad whirlwind adventure trying to get her powers back. She sleeps with him. Then, he sleeps with her again. Then, his wife goes crazy. And then, eventually they end up together.
standard affair.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'm getting yelled at because
Yes.
I totally skipped something.
Yeah.
The quote of the week. I was too excited, you guys. There's a lot to unpack. And maybe it was just evil that got to me. Because the evil that men do lives after them. the good is oft interred with their bones. That's Shakespeare
Oh,
Nice.
from Julius Caesar.
how about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was more, to me, this quote is really about, it's all about legacy. And, like, as, like, our characters are starting to, especially Renard, starting to decide, like, what good, what evil are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And we're sort of questioning Renard at this point. Like, is he evil now? Because he might be. He might be evil.
I don't know if you can qualify him as evil. He's just on the wrong side because it's benefiting him the most. Like, it's not like he's actively going, I'm gonna kill some people. He's just like, hey, they're offering me things that I want, and so I'm gonna do it.
Never truly been a good character. He's
Yeah.
always kind of been just whatever side
Well,
seems to be.
first season, he was our villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was our buddy. Mm-hmm. And then he was just, for like 2 seasons, was like full on good guy, like on our squad, like no question about his motives, really. Now, I still think it's going to turn out that he's playing Black Claw, because I don't see why he would want to work with them other than becoming, like, gaining power as mayor. And now, like, Diana is in the fold.
Right.
To me, it's like, because it's been like this like weird process where he's like, they approached him, he didn't know it was them. They're just like, hey, you've got a buddy who's running for mayor. You should help him. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna help out my buddy. He's a good guy. He deserves to be mayor. I'll do some ads for him. Buddy gets shot. Well, if he's not there, the only other person running for mayor is this crazy guy, like, who's like corrupt and like gonna do all kinds of bad for the city. So either you let him be mayor or you be mayor.
Right.
And if he doesn't agree to work with them, it's not like he can run without them, really. So he's like, well, I'm not gonna just destroy the city of Portland because I don't like you. So he could be thinking, I'll just become mayor and then get rid of these guys. Because mayors have that kind of ability.
Totally.
Power. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I banish thee from Portland.
I mean, he being very much a self-serving character, to me, it makes sense that he would join them, in that it serves him more to be on their side than to fight them, because fighting them only brings death and disaster.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, they're literally giving him everything he's ever wanted. Power. They're giving him his daughter. They're giving him a community and a little bit of strange on the side. Like, they're giving him all the stuff.
Hey, man, you got a loan to give you some on the side. I guess, like, run with it.
You know, lo and behold, he is all about it.
There you go.
Boom.
Yeah.
He had nothing better going.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Dylan, what do you think?
I think the same. Like I said, I don't think he's ever been truly good. I think he was always working for his own interests. Even whenever he was our good guy buddy, that was because our other good guys were kind of going against the Royals, which he had problems with. And it was always seemed to be, you know, he was on our side because, hey, you're helping me, you know? Friend of a friend kind of a deal.
I would kind of categorize Renard as like a true neutral.
Yeah.
He's not gonna like actively go against anyone, but he's also not. He doesn't seem like he's the type to really go out of his way to help anyone.
Right.
Nor is he like truly like either chaotic or like really following the letter of the law.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this.
Yeah.
Right.
I want this. I will go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd say he slides between.
So
lawful
as soon as these other guys can't offer him all the stuff he needs and wants, or it looks like they're going down, he's gonna jump ship. He'll be back
course.
on the good guy side. Oh, all fine. He'll tell them, "I'm sorry, I was only doing it for my daughter." You know.
Yeah.
But he didn't know about Diana until last episode.
Well, true. But then he'll say, "I had no choice. They're gonna kill me."
In fact, I'm kind of curious who knew about Diana, because we got that big drop from like via Eve in this, where she's at her like weird like far away desk with the big screen so that everyone can see what she's working on. And I froze the frame on this like each step. So like Eve it says like section 21 compromised, 2 dead, immediate action required, asset X3 MIA. Eve, and then like Eve was like, who is asset X3? Because she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Also, if you notice, the password was like 1 failed attempt and then you're locked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I mess up my password all the time. That would not be good for me. But the document was like massively redacted. But it was a request for directories and indexes that describe something. And it's like, you may appeal, it's like been rejected. Like they wanted, someone wanted information. They weren't allowed it. All of that, whatever that was all like not allowed to be. And it's like, you may appeal to redacted.
Who do I appeal to?
Signed redacted with. And then this was the one that like it was like which I thought was very interesting just because of the way that they did it. Was at the end like where it's saying like who, like what branch of, I'm assuming this is government, what branch this like what letter came back from. It was redacted and analysis division. So they left like and analysis division. So the only thing I could think is that it's like Vessin procurement and analysis division.
Right.
Division.
Or
something like that, where it's like that first word like mentions Grimm's or Vessin or supernatural or something like that. And so like this is the branch of government devoted to all of these weird Grimm stuff.
The Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Fringe Gang.
Yeah, it's the Grimm Men in Black. That's what we're dealing with right now.
Here comes Grimm and Black. Grimm and Black.
I'm in. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
But so I mean that's what finding that information is, I guess, was that before or after Eve went to like see Rosalie?
I think it was before. I want to say it was. No, I want to say it was after. Yep, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Sounds right.
You tell me in the comments below.
So it was that Eve, like finding out that Adeline had not told Nick, was like, I need to look into something.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Diana has been extracted by Black Claw, which is interesting because she is like a kid now, like a child who like is not a baby that like just doesn't remember.
Yeah.
So like she seems pretty happy with Black Claw.
They gave her lots of candy.
Yeah. Totally.
It's interesting that like she didn't seem upset to have been theoretically kidnapped from the Resistance.
Yeah. I mean, usually this is gonna sound real weird. Usually when you're kidnapping a kid, you treat them like with a lot of civility, and you make it seem like you're just kind of taking them on a trip or something to that effect. So I'm assuming that was the treatment that they gave her, that like, oh, hey, you know, we took you from the bad men who were keeping you captive, and we're going to take you to your mom and your dad. We are your friends, and we're going to let you be what you are, which is a Hexen beast. We're going to let you be who you are, and hopefully, and we're working to making the world that way. So we're the good guys. Come hang out with us. And I think ultimately, and they also fulfilled their promise. So I think that was the best way to sway her.
Yeah,
I can see it. Makes sense. I just like how you started that off.
Yeah, I knew
This
it
is
was going to sound weird.
But here's how you kidnap a child. Whoa.
all right, Tauri.
I've seen a lot of television, everyone.
Yeah. No, that's totally the explanation.
Yeah.
For
If
that.
Yell were here, she'd tell you it's all on SVU.
He's using the SVU experience.
Yeah.
Like Yale does.
But anyway, I mean, this is all like what leads to that big scene at the end where Adeline gets taken. Which really, like, let's go back to Adeline at the top of this, because she is she's needing some lover time because now she's working again. It's so weird. There was a cute moment, like, he's teething. Oh, and it's like, you think, like, oh, she's used to this. She's had a kid before. I never really got this far before. It's like, oh, that's a little weird and dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
But
baby
was
got
that
taken.
when he said already? Was that kind of a like, oh, already? Like, oh, I didn't know it happened so soon. Or was it like already like, oh, God, this baby's going to grow up just as fast as Diana did?
I mean, it's... Sorry, Tari, what were you...
No, I was
what
going
were
to
you
say, I
saying?
imagine it's probably a combination of both. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Super fast growing babies.
Yeah. It's not unprecedented.
Yeah, it's happened.
Uh,
They still haven't explained that.
what, the
The fact
Diana
that she's
growing?
like 9.
I imagine that's next. I think we're gonna get that now
Okay,
because like
okay.
we only saw her last week for the first time.
Yeah.
And then this week was Adeland finding her. So I think like what inevitably next week we're gonna see Adeland like wherever they've taken her, and Diane and she's like, "How are you 9?"
Well, she's going to be 16 next week.
They recast it like every episode. By the end of the season, she's 30.
Yeah. I was going to say it's going to end like that movie Jack, you know. She's going to be like 40 something.
Yeah,
Like,
well, by the end of the season, Claire Coffey is just playing 2 roles. She's
That would be
she's playing her
amazing.
own daughter.
Grim Writers, if you're watching this, I need you to do that.
But I imagine Adeline's going to be asking that question, and that's when we'll get an answer.
Yeah.
And it has to be like she also gave birth in like 6 months instead of 9, so it's all related to whatever magic she did to the baby.
baby magic.
But I have to think that there will be some things with baby Kelly that will be maybe not like that, because I think that the growth rate is partially just because of like all the magic she did. But
process.
a Grimm Hexen baby or a Grimm Zauber baby, Zauber Grimm, is like unprecedented in this world, at least in these characters' experiences. So different rules will apply. Like, I wasn't here last week, but my theory on why we saw Kelly like staring up and like laughing when it saw Adeline like do the transformation phase. I'm pretty sure Kelly saw. There's no other reason to cut to the baby's reaction like that, because yes, Grimm don't necessarily develop that quickly, but add in the Zauberbeast element where like Vesson do see it earlier.
Sure.
I think that he absolutely could see her vogue.
So he's going to be like Blade. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Like half hunter.
Yes.
Half monster.
That is exactly
That would be awesome.
what I'm
Nice.
saying.
It's a good reference.
Yeah. That's
Kelly, Grimm Hunter. Or Kelly the Zauber Grimm.
Yeah. But he's going to be like so torn. He's going to be like old school Grimm where he just goes around cutting people's heads off, but gets to use like Zauberbeast magic while he does it.
And you know what?
Yes.
He always wears shades. Boom.
I'm in. I'm sold.
Get it?
Yes, because Adeline's last name is Shade.
Yeah.
That's great.
His ultimate adversary will have to be Trouble, though. She'll have to like always try to hunt him down because he's part monster. But she'll join his team later.
Yeah. Trouble wouldn't hate on
in the
Kelly.
shade.
Oh my god. Oh my god. No, that would be if we were shipping the two of them.
Maybe.
Anyway, we're way off the rails here. I did think it was very interesting. Like, did you guys think when Adeline was saying like trust isn't a natural thing for us? Did you think she was going to tell Nick
I thought
about
so.
the powers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was trying throughout the episode. Like she'd broach it, and then you could see her like withdraw into herself every time. I wanted her to tell him though. Like it's gone on long enough to where it's almost becoming kind of damaging to their relationship, because he knows, and every time she like starts to get there, you could see the hope in his eyes that she's gonna be honest, and then you could see him just his heart break and be like, I just can't, you know.
Yeah, I mean, because this is Hexen Beast Adeline, and that's the thing is like when we started these characters getting together, when it became Nataland if you will. She was a human. The Hexen Beast side of her had been taken out. The Hexen Beast is back in full force. Like, she's still like getting the swing back. It's like, you know, it's not quite riding a bicycle. Like, there's a relearning curve, but she's back. Like, that part of her personality is back, and I think that that's going to become her needing to, like, she's going to be trying to defend her love, whether that's for her children or for Nick, in all ways, including violence eventually.
Yeah.
As it comes back to full force, like, she will probably get violent as she attempts to prevent Nick from learning, even though he already knows.
Yeah.
And she has to know. Like, here's the thing. Rosalie knows. Like, she has to know Rosalie's, like, gonna tell him eventually. Mm-hmm. It's gonna come out.
Well, and Eve.
Yeah.
So.
Not to mention Eve. Thought it was cool that Eve could, like, sense Rosalie and Monroe.
Oh, that was great.
She's so powerful. She's
Like,
scary.
it's not even fair. She's like on a whole nother, she's almost at Dr. Manhattan level, where she just kind of comes in and she's like, I'm gonna wreck some stuff, or I'm gonna tell you some information, and then be on my way, mere mortals, and then she runs away.
She's very attuned with the Vesson Force.
I mean, she's
The Wolf.
she just we're learning more and more that Hexen Beasts are like the most dangerous and prized types of Vesson to have on your team.
Yeah.
Like, the law firm is like, we're really excited to have you back. Like, it turned out, like, not just because of her lawyer skills, but they're like, they really wanted a Hexen Beast on team.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing to have. It's why HW was so like set on getting Juliet and be making her into Eve, because it's not often you have that powerful of an asset at your disposal. It's why Diana is such a
commodity.
Like, remember how whole seasons were about Diana and stealing her? It's because Hexen Beasts, apparently, especially like mixed Hexen Beasts, whether like human and Hexen or royal and Hexen, like, those things are powerful.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, we've got some dangerous stuff ahead for Adeline.
I like how she talked about the baby calming down some of her more, rough clients, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, let me bring the baby to work with me," and I'm like, "I don't know if that's a good idea
For Nick?
Yeah, he's always running around hunting Vesson with a baby.
Yeah,
it made me think of that Rick and Morty detective Baby Legs. You guys, this is gonna be ridiculous.
Regular legs. But I mean, yeah, Nick does not have a desk job. Like, Nick, you never sit at your desk for more than like 5 minutes before a call comes in that, like, you're like, body, and then you leave.
Bring your child.
Bring your baby to crime scene day. Well, I guess we gotta go talk about the Vesson of the week. Speaking of crime,
Yeah.
And bodies.
Really horrifying bodies. Yeah. We got some very gross stuff this week. Some people are saying the grossest thing Grimm has done.
Yeah.
Do you guys think so?
Yeah, it was pretty nasty. I even thought I was eating while I was watching, and I was like, I don't know about this.
It's the worst part was just the sound editing, because like just the gross
crunching and
slurping,
the
the
slurping.
bone crunching, that was the worst part. It wasn't even seeing all the like viscera coming through his tube. It was all just like the slurpy, grossy, slappy sounds.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with the like boneless bodies that they had like at the crime scenes. And
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, it wasn't the sucking out that was gross. It was like when they cut to the skinned like corpses
blob on the ground.
It was just horrifying. I mean, look, a Barbados ulcifrat is a dangerous thing.
It's true.
Someone earlier said the Latin name for it. Do you have it? What it means in Latin? It meant like bearded bone cruncher, sucker, or something.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Look, it's hard enough to say,
Yeah.
let alone understand.
Yeah.
Barbados ulcifrat.
Yep.
Yeah, that was as good as I can do.
The Barbosas. Ulcer fats.
Barbacoa?
Yeah. I'd like that.
I mean, like this was a cool, like it was a cool creature,
Yeah.
and stuff. I didn't like, if I'm honest, I didn't fully understand what was going on in this guy's like life. Like, okay, so like I get the
Right.
basic beats. Like he needs to feed these bone, like whatever the bone nutrients, like the marrow and stuff that he sucks out to his parents because they can't.
Yeah.
Like
I think they were just too old to go out and kill people.
Yeah, pretty much.
but like it can't, like it doesn't seem like it seems weird to that if can they only survive on human marrow? How would they possibly have lived this long? Like only being able to survive on murdered people.
Yeah, and like where are all these other reports of boneless bodies?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there are some like very interesting questions, like how many bodies show up in that park that they can sustain themselves. But like you could also imagine, since they live in a trailer, that they've been traveling around doing this for a while. So like, especially in the deserty areas, they'll probably find someone whose body will never be found because they find someone who's dying, starving to death or whatever, and then they just drop them off a cliff or run them over and then be on their merry way, and no one ever knows.
Or maybe they do it to large animals too. They just didn't show it in this episode.
Yeah.
Like maybe that could be. I imagine you could, if you can do it to a human, you could probably do it to a large animal.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, wouldn't like they sell beef bones, like at the supermarket?
Yeah.
You need the guts too, though.
Yeah, it needs to be baby birded.
But like, I mean, you can buy like at least like I know places where you can go buy like a cow leg. Like you
Right.
can buy any chunk of beef like intact that you need. It seems like this guy who didn't want to kill people, and like that seemed very interesting that he was forced to do this for his parents. Is it that like they can only at their age they need the extra they need to be human? I wish I'd gotten more of
Yeah,
like
I feel
the
ya.
why he needed to do this, because he hated it so much.
Yeah.
I needed a little more
Okay.
from him.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think I rationalized it in my mind that since they were old, they were essentially just like they needed so much replenishing, because the man, like the old man, was on a oxygen tank and stuff like that. So I think there's a chance, because like scavengers, like vultures and things like that, typically if they eat a whole carcass, then they're sustained for a long time. But I think since they were older, they were just burning through it, just living.
Yeah. Maybe people just are more efficient,
Yeah.
and he can feed both his mom, dad, and himself with a person versus maybe an animal only would do himself or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to know if,
Yeah,
if
they should
if he's
explain
gonna
it.
have to murder these people, not to mention that he's murdering them and then like leaving them around for people to find. Like
Yeah.
he's not even trying to hide the bodies. I need to know more about like exactly why is he doing this? Like this
Yeah.
guy who doesn't want to kill people, what's behind it?
Right.
But like beside like that aside, like it was creepy.
Yes.
It was next level creepy. Not to mention when his parents ate him.
That was the worst.
You wouldn't want it to go to waste.
Come on. Come on.
They ate him.
Yeah. I think that to me was the roughest part.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
I mean, for me, the roughest part, like the idea of getting run over is like one of my worst fears.
Oh, really?
In like terms of like ways to die, I'm like that would have to be one of the most horrible ways to go. Like crushed, but not like your head crushed. Mm-hmm. Like crushed, and then like your body is just flattened.
Yeah.
And then reversed over you again.
Yeah. Ugh. It's like the worst. Ugh. But yeah, you just kept saying.
Did you catch the Nick, like, CSI Miami moment where I just wanted him to put his shades on? Because he looked down and he said, "Oh, that guy's boned." And I was just waiting for the shades to come up and the music to cue in.
That's great.
They should make that a new thing now with Nick.
Oh man. Yeah. just he has well because he's dating a shade. He's like, I gotta wear the shade.
Well, just like remember when he was back in the day and he used to wear shades all the time to make sure people didn't know he was a Grimm. He's got
That's true for that little amount of time where he like figured out that was a thing and then they just stopped doing that. But yeah, before we get into some of the other aspects of this episode that we have left, including a werewoo. I just want to take a quick moment to thank all the fans for tuning in and joining us. All of you guys in the live chat, I especially love you this week because I know there's some other big TV event going on that we're just not talking about. We're not talking about it, you guys.
Yeah, please don't.
But so like the fact that there's like around like 45, 50 people in here, it means a lot to us.
Yeah, it really does.
And we also want to shout out everybody who's who's leaving us comments and reviews on iTunes, because it's a big way that you can help out the show, because you can leave a review and that way other people can find it when they go to search for podcasts, and they can help other fans find it. It helps raise our visibility as not just as this podcast but as a whole network. So we especially love you guys who can go onto iTunes and hit us with a review. Number one Def Lep fan says, a must listen for any Grimm fan. Love this podcast. Yell is hilarious. She makes me snort at least once per listen. Great chemistry with this team. Best of the After Show family of podcasts.
Nice.
Thank you, number one Def Lep fan. All right, so let's get back into it. Okay. Woo, you guys. Woo is a Vessin. It's official, sort of.
Yeah, most semi-Vessin.
I don't know what we could call him. He looks blue bot-ish.
Yeah.
Dylan, what do you think?
That's what, weren't they bloop bots that get a little crazy?
Yeah.
When they talked about it before, so that's what it is. Like,
It's a lycanthrope.
yeah.
But like, so this is the interesting thing for Wu, because like I'm very curious to see where, because it's been about a month since he got scratched.
You think?
So it could have been, they never showed us a moon in this episode, so it could be in like full moon phase. Like it could have been like 4 weeks.
Right.
Maybe it's getting close, so it's like you're getting little
Yeah.
bits and pieces until the full moon, and then it goes full on.
Yeah. The question is he going to be is it going to be like a werewolf? Werewolf.
Werewolf.
Yeah. I like werewolf, like with a U instead of an O. Is it going to be like that, or is he going to just become a Vessin? Like, is he going to be able to vogue and like have like extra strength and like heightened senses that a bloop bot has, or is he actually just a werewolf now?
I think it's just going to be a werewolf, and they're going to have to try and find a cure and do whatever. They're going to tap him with that stick. The magic stick.
Tell him, Fitty.
They got it.
I mean, I'm hoping that he becomes a full-time, like, Vessin. Because we haven't seen someone go from being human to Vessin. And I think that that would be an interesting turn, especially since with the way that he was introduced into the Vessin world, having thought he was insane for thinking Vessin were true, and then now for him to become one, I think would be a really interesting step for his character. And also, it just feeds into my previous theory that I think the world of Vessin and humans are intersecting in ways that haven't happened in this story's history, but also that we haven't seen yet, which will make everyone's beliefs really muddy, and it will be great.
Yeah. I mean, we keep building more and more towards like the human world and the Vessin world crashing together by the and I think by the end of the season, like they will have crashed together.
Yeah.
And like, so for Wu, it's a more intimate issue where he's part Vessin now, regardless. Like,
I think Monroe. Oh, I didn't think about this. I was going to say, don't you think Monroe would be able to smell it? But in this episode, when they were in the same area, he had his nose clipped because he was wearing that same thing. Because Monroe would be able to smell the werewolf, right? Because the last time he was like, "Whoa, that's pungent!" Like, oh.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That was a good way for them to not have that little like.
Yeah.
They're like, oh crap, he's totally gonna be on this. What if the way that they lure him out
It was
is,
a really bad scene. So he has his nose clipped.
I wonder if it was built that way. That'd be very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it does cleanly cover up that issue. Because now that we've seen him vogue, like he's out there, like chasing dogs. But he doesn't remember, as opposed to a normal Vesson where it's just part of who they are.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see where they go with that. So last thing we got to talk about, really, before we get into predictions and all that, is Hank.
Yeah.
Hank and his lady friend. What do you guys think of her return?
I thought it was. I think what stood out to me the most is how much she was really like going for it, and Hank was having none of it. She was like, "Hey, so why don't we get together?" And he's like, "That sounds cool, I guess." "Oh yeah, you want to go out?" "I don't think so." Until she like really like pursued him. I thought that was great. I like that Hank had the upper hand in that whole situation.
I didn't remember her. I didn't remember her from before.
Oh yeah.
So I was just like, who is this again? I forgot about this side
Didn't you
story.
watch the last week preview?
No, I missed it, so I forgot. I was like, who is this lady? What season was that?
That was last season, I think.
Was it?
Maybe 2 seasons ago. I actually don't remember.
Yeah.
Seems like it was a long time
it's
ago.
been a
Yeah.
while. I'm pretty sure it was last season.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a while since his like Jaguar love interest.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see where that goes. Like Hank's been like without a love interest for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like him and Wu are like, man, Nick's getting like all his play.
It's true.
And
His last love interest is now with Nick.
Hanks?
Yeah.
Well, she was his love, like, was it Zuri? Was his love interest last season.
Well,
but then she was like, I can't date a care site.
Right. I also love that we're getting a interspecies relationship, or I guess another one. Yeah,
All of our relationships in this show are interspecies.
it's true.
The only one that's not was Renard and Adeline.
It's true.
They were the only time that any of our main characters dated anyone that was not like the same type.
Oh, a lot of people think that Zuri is working for Black Claw, and they're trying to get closer to Nick through Hank.
Oh, Hank.
Oh.
Hank, no. It is convenient timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Yeah. And her brother is nowhere to be seen. He seems like the type that would join Black Claw.
Didn't she say that he was off at college?
I'm sure that's what she said. But I'm gonna trust her.
I choose to trust her for now. Yes, thank you, Grammatic. Is a I apologize for this.
Here we go.
A Jaguarte.
Jaguarte.
Jaguarte. Nope, I'm so far from what it is. It's not even funny. Like, the only thing that could have been worse than like my attempts at German are my attempts at
Latin-based languages.
Latin-based like Brazilian like words, which is like not like Portuguese.
Yeah.
Not even Spanish, but Portuguese. Oh boy.
Woof.
But yeah, so this was interesting. Just to go back a step to Wu, Grammaniac always in the chat. Grammaniac points out that it didn't have the same sort of ripple effect that we get from. It didn't have the same effect that we get from a normal Voga.
Right.
From people. So I wonder if that is going to color the difference. But it also is like first time.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, we haven't seen. We know at least from the Peter Pan episode that like there is definitely a Vesson puberty that they go through, and so like Wu is in the midst of Vesson puberty where he wakes up and his bones ache and his body isn't behaving the way he wants it to and all that stuff. So like I think once he gets in the groove, like he'll be able to Vogue normally. But right now,
were places he's not used to.
yeah,
Yeah, I do. Well, should we start getting into some predictions?
yeah.
Do that, and then we're gonna have some news and gossip afterwards.
AfterBuzz TV.
Because there's some big news this week, guys. So stick with us.
Well, I think Jon Snow is totally gonna.
No, you shut your mouth, sir. I know there's no possible way that you could have seen it because we've been in the studio since it started airing.
I'm on Twitter. Like
But
this.
nothing different.
Oh, I'm getting corrected in the chat.
Uh-oh.
It's a Jaguarete.
Oh, okay.
Jaguarete. Jaguarete.
Ooh.
See, I'm better.
Yeah.
Better. I just need
Learning.
help. It's on the spot. I didn't have any time to practice. Anyway, so next week the episode is literally called. I thought you were joking.
Nope.
But I double checked. The Taming of the Woo.
That's
Yeah.
like the best episode title I've ever seen.
I cannot believe that they're calling it that, but I'm so excited. The only way it could have been better is if they just straight up called it Woo's Clues.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's on a board in their office somewhere. They're like, we're gonna need this.
One day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Woo's gonna go full out and like maybe not be able to, like, if it's during the full moon lunar cycle, like maybe he's just full like werewolf, like uncontrolled werewolf for several days or nights. Like he's gonna just be out every night, like running through the woods, like maybe even killing people.
Dang.
He would have killed that dog if he hadn't hit his head.
It's true. One dead dog.
What do you guys think? What are we looking forward to?
On the third day, naked in the woods, covered in blood. Not again. Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it has to get to the point where he just goes full werewolf. And,
Yeah,
and the gang has to deal with it.
It's an interesting way to take it. Like we still have this threat from the writers from like before the season started that one of our main original characters wasn't going to make it out of the year.
Ooh.
I don't know if they like decided to not do that at this point because we're getting close. And like I thought it was supposed to be by mid-season.
Yeah. So are you by saying that, are you implying that they might have to Old Yeller him and that like he's gonna be too wild and they're gonna have to put
I
him
don't know.
down?
It worries me.
I'm hoping that it makes it so Wu and Monroe, because we don't get a lot of Wu Monroe time. I'm hoping that they form this like apprenticeship where Monroe teaches him the ins and outs of being a Vesson.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And he's like staying on the couch at Monroe.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? They're like, this is what it's going to be like to have a kid, you know? And
Their training kid is Wu.
I like it.
Oh my god, I want to watch that so bad. But it looks like we're gonna get a lot of Diana and Adeline and Renard next week, or at least that's what they're showing us. It could be like we get like 10 minutes of it.
yeah.
But I think that's gonna be the big thing, and I think Diana, we're gonna get a lot more of Diana's backstory to this point and how exactly she's 9 years old. And what she's been up to, like what her powers are, like what does she mean to Black Claw? How is Black Claw going to use her? Or is it simply just to control Adeline and Renard?
Yeah.
I still stand by my prediction from earlier that Renard will be ultimately good. Ultimately, he will be against Black Claw by the end of the season.
Okay.
All right.
Any other predictions from you guys?
I think that Adeline is going to be the double agent that we talked about before, where she's going to try to, this will be the way that she kind of opens up to Nick and tells him about her powers, because now it's an imperative because they're trying to use her. And I still think that she's going to be the one to go based on the idea that someone from the very beginning is going to die. I still think it's going to be her.
We like her just a little too much.
That's true.
And it would be, especially if she's getting dangerous because of Hexenbeast coming back, it would be the most tragic arc, like in a good way, where like a good way story-wise, to be clear. But, like, there's a great story in she was evil, she purged that part of herself, became good, and then the evil started returning, and she knew, she would know, like, I'm not going to be able to control this.
Yeah.
If I don't stop myself, I will turn on the people I love. And so she must sacrifice herself for Nick, for Kelly, for Diana.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed a little more every episode? There's a little bit more Juliet sneaking back in.
Yes.
So I'm starting to think that at some point she's gonna like jump Nick and be like, "Hey, I'm back."
That's what Rosalie sort of hints at. That's what Rosalie hints at. Do you guys think that Juliet is coming back through Eve? She cares about Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that she's at least somewhat still has all those feelings or memories or whatever it is that's causing her to be protective of him.
Yeah.
And almost jealous or envious of Adeline there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that I don't think Juliet is coming back.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think she's always going to be changed, but
But I think Eve may be developing feelings for Nick.
Yeah, I could see that.
Whether it's because of memories or because of what she sees in him now. She's like, look, Juliet was in love with Nick. All those memories of all the good times they spent together are still up there in Eve's head.
Yeah.
Like, you can only have those memories for so long before you're like, that would be nice. I don't know. I mean, I'm still on the Natalie ship, which is rare for me. Like the fact that I have chosen to ship a blonde instead of a redhead never happened before. But yeah, so with that, before we have to get out of here, let's hit that news and gossip button.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Yeah. All right, guys. So potentially unfortunate news.
Yeah.
It looks like
Saw that.
NBC made an announcement that next season of Grimm so far has only been picked up for 13 episodes instead of the regular 22 or 23. So to clarify what that means for everybody who doesn't know that much about how the television scheduling works and all that, basically what they're saying is it's not necessarily only going to be 13 episodes. It may actually still get a full 22 episode order. But they're saying for now, they're only giving Grimm 13. And there could be a number of reasons for that. It could be budgetary. More likely, it's because of scheduling. And NBC has not announced all of their fall pickups in terms of pilots yet.
Yeah.
So they may be waiting until they see what they've got on the spring and fall schedule lineups. Like, well, we've got these shows, so like we do too many shows for not enough spots, so we have to shrink Grimm's order.
Right.
The other part of what that could mean is if they do lock it at 13 episodes, that could just historically it would infer that could be season 6 could be our final season.
right.
Interesting.
If that is going to be the case, I would personally rather they make the call
Yes.
and tell
So
the
we know.
writers.
So the writers
Tell the
can know.
writers.
Right.
Tell the
Yeah.
writers. Like I don't like as a fan, I don't need to know, but tell the writers like
Sure.
you're going to end here. Plan for it, and they give them 13 episodes to close out this awesome show
Yeah.
in a great way,
Right.
as opposed to making them wait to find out. So
Right.
just make a call before they get in the room.
Yeah.
That's all I ask from NBC. Any last thoughts, guys, before we get out of here?
No,
No.
sir.
All right, well, let's wrap it out, you guys. Thank you so much to everyone again once for joining us. This has been a fun show. Yell, as we said, we'll be back next week to yell at me for mispronouncing things and make everything we say 20% dirtier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minimum 20%.
Yeah.
So until next week, guys, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at that Zach Wilson. You can also find me here at AfterBuzz on a whole bunch of shows. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Tuesday nights and Archer on Thursdays.
I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J, Taurijay. Also on The Flash and Arrow.
And I'm Dillon Chance. You can find me on Twitter at Dillon Chance. That's DILLONCHANCE.
All right, guys, we have been the Grimm After Show, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.